Oh, Sergeant Forster is on, he's got the TV.
Right now it's recording because I am dispatched, and so every time a officer or deputy gets dispatched to a call, every call there's a 0.25 mile bubble around every call. Once the deputy drives into that bubble of the call, it'll automatically start their body cam recording. That's another fail-safe that we have built into the system, so they don't have to remember to start the recordings. So once they get close enough to their call, it automatically starts recording. The squad camera does and the body camera does. So right now it's recording. I'm going to turn it off just because you heard it stopped recording. I did that just based off of the buttons on the watch, okay? As it's recording, it is actively uploading to the cloud via the cell network. So we can get real-time data into the system that I'll show you almost instantly. As they're recording on the field, a supervisor can log into their camera and view their live stream. So if they're on a critical scene, we can give real-time data to whoever else we need to. Any questions on just the body camera right now? Otherwise, I'll go into the media portion of it.
One of the videos that we want to show you on the screen is the running trigger. This is just a demo video, but it's a good video of just a general understanding of the overall quality of the video and just that one specific trigger of running. So this is just it's a different department. This was a test video that came from utility, but it's a good video. So what the video is it's the department has a 30-second pre-record enabled, so that means when they hit the record button or that trigger kicks on, it's going to jump back 30 seconds automatically, so they don't have to do anything. It'll capture that pre-record. So it's 30 seconds without audio. Currently, right now, we have 1 minute pre-record with audio for the commercial sheriff's department. So it's a little different setup. But once he starts running, you'll hear the audio kick on. That's when that trigger happens. Okay? And it also gives you this good field of view, this 140-degree little bubble of how the video actually looks when it's mounted inside the desk. Now again, this is that 30-second pre-record. There's no audio. Ours is 1 minute with audio. Sorry, the volume's not up very high, but it's going. And he did nothing to activate this besides running. It automatically started recording for him. So I've reviewed a lot of videos, and that's pretty much what they look like. They're pretty clear. They have that little fisheye bubble to them, and he stopped it using that little wristwatch that he has. You have any questions on that video? The next thing I do want to go over is our VeloWeb. This is the program that every deputy and supervisor has access to. This is the new program from utility, how we can track and log all the body cam footage and the data that the body cams collect. So the screen that we're looking at right now is our live screen. It's using Google Maps, but all the little dots that you see on the screen are body cameras and squad cameras. Okay? So all the green dots are active devices. All of the gray dots are inactive devices. They go inactive after 8 hours or if they shut off their device. So if they power it off at the end of their shift, it'll turn it gray. That's all those are. So if I hover over this person, there's 9 people in this cluster, 9 different deputies. And when they're blinking this red and that means they are actively recording right now. So something's going on, they're in a call, something's happening. If I go to zoom to cluster, we'll see that they're all on this road here, and they're currently at a family trouble call. So I'm not going to view their live stream just because of the sensitive nature of these calls, but if a supervisor wanted to, he could just click on here, and then there's this initiate live stream button right here, and it would pull it up and stream it live, what he's doing currently. Okay? Again, I'm not going to do that just because of the nature of the call. The dispatch and this system communicates together, so it's pulling the CAD data. So on the screen is these little triangles, that's just the calls for service that is actively pulling from the CAD. Another feature for supervisors and admin is just to kind of keep track of what everyone's doing on the system, because there's a lot of users that we have for the Sheriff's Department. Just a little fun fact that we can pull up is how much data that we've already used since we've been live for just over 3 weeks now. We've used 6.42 terabytes of data, right? And that's all housed in the cloud, right? On Amazon servers, that's where it's housed at. So that would be very costly if we had to actually store that in-house. So that's only 3 weeks of storage. Almost 7 terabytes of storage is a lot. Down here it says, I know it's a little small on the screen, but it says total incidents by classification. So each time they have an incident, they have to classify the videos, or it auto-classifies, and it gives you this nice little spreadsheet of what's going on, what's the most popular calls. We'll be able to see if we have an uptick in burglaries, this is where we would see that. We'll see the little slider bar going up and up. So we'll be able to adjust appropriately there. We can check the batteries of the deputies that are on the field quickly in case we need to remind them to charge them. And then another thing that I wanted to go over really quick is the media button here. So this is how a supervisor or a deputy would find their pieces of evidence after they are uploaded into the system. So like I said, once they're recording, as they're actively recording, it's uploading via the cell network all the time. But once it gets fully uploaded, it's available in the system for them to view, to modify as far as putting the case numbers in, or different case numbers, or classifications, or multiple classifications. That's how they get their info on here. So again, I just want to show you how much data that is stored already on AvailWeb servers since we've been launched. Currently we're up to 17,435 pieces of evidence, and that is mostly body cam footage. There are some pictures on here, because they can take pictures with their phones. They can take out the phone and take still pictures, but that's the majority of it is body cam footage. So it's a lot of data. So it's very important that our deputies are going back and putting in these different classifications of case numbers. So I do have a couple videos, because there's so much data, I had to go through and find some good videos. I do have some good videos that I do want to show you, just of traffic stops and just every day what a deputy does on the road. This is a traffic stop from Deputy Mashanky, and I do want to play it for you. But before I play it for you, I do want to just walk through this screen to kind of show them what they have to do every time they get back to their squad car after the call is done. So again, they can click on this classified button. This was a traffic stop, and he issued a citation, so he had to go back in there and click that citation button so it accurately saves the retention period. We can see our chain of custody for every piece of evidence in case something comes up, or every time that he views it or I view it, or if I send it to the DA, it's all logged on here properly. It's very important for chain of evidence. It gives you all the metadata below it, the start times, dates, how it was recorded, how it was stopped. For this instance, his door turned on the body cam for him. Okay, so it says the door trigger started it. He turned it off later with his Bluetooth remote after the call was done. So again, I just want to play this for you and just let you see how this actually looks on our end.
Body worn down, Chase Forster.
Okay, so that is the body worn down feature on the device, and I'll go over that in a second. So right now he is driving. On the right, you can see the screen.
Body worn down, Chase Forster.
So on the right, you can see the little screen. That's his squad car driving as it's recording, so it kind of gives you a two view of what's going on. Right now, his
Body worn down, Chase Forster.
Sorry about that. His body camera is being covered by his seatbelt. So great, emergency seatbelt, right? But in a second, you'll see him take it off. On the very bottom down here is the different triggers that happen on the video. This light bar, he activated his light bar.
Body worn down, Chase Forster.
That was part of the trigger, right?
At the entrance to Fox River Park, Wisconsin, Adam George David 7441.
We'll just watch this.
Recording. Body worn down, Chase Forster.
So he opened his door and it automatically is a recording, right? So it's recording for him. He didn't do anything to activate it.
Good morning.
Body worn down, Chase
Copy of your
Forster.
registration.
Yeah, I know. I'm renting my car. I have one car payment left.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with royalties though.
So we don't have to need to keep playing the whole thing, but we get an idea of what the video looks like. You know, this is one
Body
more.
worn down, Chase Forster.
On the very bottom, every time he opens his door, it logs every time he opens his door, every time he hits his brakes, every time he turns his sirens on, it logs everything for us. So it's good data to have. But again, it's those triggers, those really important triggers, so we don't miss
Body worn down, Chase
these
Forster.
moments of recording, right? So that was during the day. Obviously, that's in prime lighting conditions, right?
Body worn down, Chase Forster.
Hold on one second.
Body worn down, Chase Forster.
So what you were hearing was a body worn down. So when a officer or deputy goes prone or goes in a weird position, I was in a weird position. I was like kind of slumped over. So if the device is in a weird position, it sends this alert to dispatch saying that I'm down, that the dispatch needs to check on me, right? They know we're doing this right now, so that's probably why they didn't check on me. And I just canceled the alarm. But in the field, it does, and these guys can attest to this, that they do check on them and they have to manually click that off, and that's what I did. Okay, so if they're searching a car and they're bending down for too long, it'll set off this alarm. But again, it's a safety measure. It's to make sure that they're okay on the field, and it's a good thing. So this is a deputy at night, right? Not prime lighting conditions, and this is one I want to show you. Again, it's just another traffic stop, but it just gives you a good feel of it. I'm not going to play the entire thing. I'm going to skip ahead until when he opens his door, so we can actually see what the video looks like outside the squad car at nighttime. This is 2 o'clock in the morning too.
Recording.
Hey man, how's it going? 2 reasons for the stop. One, your headlight is out, and then you're
All right, so it's dark out. There's not a lot of lights besides what the cars are producing and the street lights, but it's still a pretty clear video. We'll be able to get a lot of evidence off of that if something happens. I would like to show you a video from our correction side, because we have a lot more body cameras on correctional officers than there are deputies out there.
Okay, that's what we just, yeah.
This is one of the dorms out at the KCDC. She's just walking through it.
What is that? Without any, doing any backwards or what happened? Very good.
Every one of these officers here are actively recording. We are fully deployed right now, so everyone has a body camera. All right, so we get the idea. And then one last thing I do want to show you is from our conveyance unit, prisoner transport, inmate transport. This is one of the transport vans, what it looks like in the back of the van. It's going to take a second because it has to sync all the videos together, but eventually it'll start playing together as one continuous video. So this is them driving down the road. This is the front camera. This is the middle pod of the van, and then these are the divided pods in the very back. You can see the inmates in there. They're tight quarters. But again, we can see the inmates. This is the first time we've ever been able to see any kind of inmates in the back of our vans. We've never had cameras back there. So this is a huge improvement for us. We had a lot of complaints in the past about things that may have happened in the back. Well, now we can have some evidence of what happened back there, which is great. So that's really just a super brief overview of AVAILWeb, and I will take questions. Yes?
Going back to when you stated that the supervisor or whoever can live stream a deputy out in the field, are they notified that that's happening or no?
There's two ways we can do the live stream. So if they're actively recording out on a call, there is no notification that they get it. The supervisor can just tap into it and start watching it. Now that's all logged on this chain of custody per piece of evidence, like I showed you before, the chain of custody on every evidence. So it's logged if the supervisor does click and view that live stream. If they're not actively live streaming, a supervisor has the ability to turn on their camera to start it recording and to then view the live stream. That time it does actually give them an audible saying that their camera is going to be recording, and then the message that comes with that recording.
And then in the jail, are those body cams on all day?
Yeah, pretty much. Their policy states that when there's a potential for them, when there's a potential for an inmate contact, they have to be recording. Or if they're around an inmate, they have to be recording. So they're pretty much recording the entire time except when they're going on breaks or when they're not have that potential for that inmate contact.
And what does the battery life look like inside the jail? I mean, does it last them all day?
So we have our growing pains right now, I'm not gonna lie. Most of them are lasting the entire 12 hours, but it depends on what they're doing with the camera throughout the day. If they're pulling it out of their shirt and they're playing with it, doing the classifications on the phone, that drains the battery really quick. If they're doing multiple recordings on and off, on and off, on and off, that'll drain it really quick. The majority of them are lasting the 8 hours if they're doing a lot of that hard work. But if they're just sitting there recording, they're getting almost their full 12 hours. What they're doing right now is when they go on their mandatory 30-minute break, they're plugging them in while they're in their break room. So it gives them that extra boost to last through that next part of their shift.
And then on the road, it sounds like that's not really an issue for deputies on the road.
No, we've only had a couple incidents where the camera did die, and the next week after that, or the next few days after that, it was not an issue with the same kind of work that they did. So it was maybe just the phone having a hiccup for that time or whatnot. But for the most part, the 8-hour shift that the deputies are doing, it's lasting the entire time.
And does it send like a push notification to the command if somebody's phone does die, unbeknownst to them?
No, it does not.
Okay, so somebody would have to be looking at that screen to see, you know, deputy, whoever, their battery's getting kind of low, and that's when you guys can send a heads up.
Correct.
Okay, all right, that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
You had mentioned that the videos are uploaded basically in real time. What happens if a deputy is out in the field in an area where there's low cell service? Is it just temporarily recorded onto the squad, onto the squad's laptop or onto the cell phone itself, and then updated when it gets within cell range?
Sure, if they're totally out of signal, right, and so the phone itself has 27 hours of recording time on it, so it's got a pretty good chunk of memory on it, so it'll store it on the local device until it can start uploading it and purging it off of the phone. Once they get back to the squad car, though, the squad car will actively take over the phone. It syncs up with the squad car, and it'll take that video and that data off the phone and put it onto the squad memory in the rear, in the back seat. It'll put it on there, which is there's 120 gigabytes on there, so it'll hold a lot more than just the phone does. So there's a couple different ways to make sure that the phone doesn't get full in the field. Yes.
In the event that in corrections that a officer has their phone charging and they need to respond right away, a first thing responder or something like that, what is the policy? I work corrections for the state. My first reaction is going to be to respond. I might not automatically grab that phone right away. What's the play in that?
So, I mean, that could happen, right? They could be sitting there charged and they just take off running, and I mean, that definitely could happen. But right now, you know, they have to get relieved from their post to go on break. I don't really have a good answer for that. I mean, it could happen if it's left there and they take off running for a scene or something like that, they get something on the radio. But per policy, they're supposed to have it in them when they're going back out on the floor. Does that answer your question? Kind of.
It does. I just hope that we don't see a whole lot of disciplines just falling through, going, you know, right away.
I'm with you on that. I hope not either.
Extenuating circumstances.
Right. And you know, for the most part, the correctional officers are all on board with this. You know, they are all very receptive to the training. So I haven't had any real pushback of using the body cameras, so which is great. Any other questions? Okay. That's all I have for my presentation.
I have one.
Okay, got one more in the back.
How did we do budget-wise?
As far as what?
Cost-wise, how did this work out budget-wise?
I was not in charge of that. I don't have that answer.
Does anybody have that answer? It was put in the budget last year. We spent exactly what the budget was.
So we didn't exceed budget or anything? Okay.
Sorry.